summarize very briefly what I was saying before, just to kind of bring it a bit together again. It may sound very complicated when I talk so much, but actually it is not that hard to grasp. The idea is that when you are ignorant, when you are deluded about where happiness is to be found, you think happiness is to be found in the world, you go out pursuing that happiness. This is sankhara, all the activities you do. When you do all of these activities, some of these activities are good, some are bad. It's a good and bad karma. This affects your mind, and it's like your level or the quality of your consciousness goes up or down depending on what you do. And then this level of consciousness that you build up in this life determines where you get reborn. And where you get reborn determines the kind of experiences you have in your next life. Yeah? Obviously, if you get reborn in a nice realm, you have nice experience, the whole point. If you get reborn in a bad realm, you have bad experiences. If you get reborn in a middle realm, then you have a kind of a bit like human. A human is actually a good realm, but it's kind of on the borderline there. So this is really what it means. So what is this nama-rupa? Why do we use the term nama-rupa, name and form? Let me just very briefly explain that, because it is a bit mysterious. Yeah, consciousness is a condition for nama-rupa. It's not for name and form. Name and form? What is this name business got to do with it? Okay, my name is Ajahn Brahmāli. What's that got to do with, where you get reborn? The idea here is that name is just an alternative way of talking about the mind. Yeah, it really refers to the mind. So once you get reborn in a certain realm, you can think of yourself that all your experiences, the form is like the physical, the name is like the mental, material and mental. All your experiences, mental, whatever they are determined by that level, the realm, the area, the plane that you are reborn in. That is what it means. And why does the Buddha use the word name? Why doesn't he use just mind, if that's the case? What is the reason for this? And the reason for this seems to be that one of the things to understand the Buddha's teachings is to remember that the Buddha taught his teachings in a certain context. That context is ancient India. There was an existing ancient culture in India already. The Brahmanical culture went back couple of thousand years before the time of the Buddha. India is one of the really ancient civilizations in human history. And because of that, there was existing ideas. When the Buddha speaks, he has to speak to those existing ideas. He has to somehow communicate with this Brahmanical culture that had existed in India. And this word name was used in that Brahmanical culture. So the Buddha uses it independent origination to enable an understanding in that broader culture. That's why he uses name. And if you think about the idea of name, it has a lot of the things that go into the idea of name actually has to do with mind. Yeah? If you name something, if I name glasses, I happen to have these glasses here, they were very kindly given to me here in Hong Kong. Once you in that name is perception. Yeah, you perceive these things as glasses. There's a perception about it. When you name it, there's also a feeling about it. Does it feel good? It feels really good to have these wonderful glasses because it makes me able to read. Otherwise, I couldn't read anything to you. It would just be kind of blurred. Everything. There's a nice feeling with these things. There's also very often a intention with naming. When you name something, there's intention there. Yeah, whenever you do an act of creativity, giving a name, there's an intention involved with that, a certain volition or will. So will is also involved with the idea of naming. So all this mental activity, you can see why name, in a sense, is a way of kind of unifying many of the factors of the mind, specifically, most importantly, perception, because perception is based precisely on the idea of kind of dividing things out and making sense of things. Yeah, perception is based on naming, essentially. Yeah. So this is why the word name is used, just in case you're wondering, because it does sound a bit cryptic. When you come across this the first time, you wonder, what on earth? Name? It doesn't make any sense to me. Interesting thing there is that the word for name in Pali is nama, nama-rupa, the same word as we have in English. Yeah, it's exactly the same word. What is the word for name in Cantonese?
Bang.
Mang? Okay, it's a bit different. What is it in Putonghua? Mean, okay. Okay, doesn't work. Yeah. Because sometimes you have influence, Buddhist influence in Chinese as well, yeah? And you may have actually Buddhist terms used even in Chinese, like Fo. Fo is Buddha. Yeah? Fo.
That's Mandarin.
Mandarin, okay, it's Putonghua. So, yeah, Fo. So that comes from Buddha, take away the Da, Bu, and then Bu, the B turns into F. Yeah? So it actually comes from the word Buddha originally, Fo as well. How do you pronounce it? Fo, okay. Very hard, very difficult. Okay. And in this life, I don't think I will learn much Chinese. Unfortunately, I really like to learn Chinese because it would be so nice to read the arguments, but not everything, you can't do everything in one life. This is the problem, yeah, you have this craving, you have to do more, so you get reborn just so you can learn Chinese. You have to be very careful, very, very careful. Anyway, so this is the idea, yes? So your mental world and the physical world around you, everything you experience is then determined by your level of rebirth. Yeah, and so this is, in many ways, the most important part of dependent origination. If you understand this part, you understand really what it is about. And then the rest of dependent origination, we come towards the end, we come to the last part, tanha, upadana, bhava, jati. Yeah, this is the craving, the grasping, the continued existence, then the rebirth. It is just a rehash of what we have just seen now. It's the same thing, told in a slightly different way here. So that is much easier to understand because we already understood the basic mechanism that drives this thing, the craving, the sankhara, the choices leading to rebirth in this way. So, the next level, the next link in dependent origination, it says here the six sense fields, right? Yeah. So once you have nama rupa, part of that nama rupa, that experience of the world is the six senses. Yeah, you see things, you hear things, you taste things, and all of these kind of things. That's kind of part of experience. And because we have these six senses, we experience the world through those senses. The world contacts us through those six senses. This is why the next stage is called contact. Yeah, it's like we're contacting the world through these six senses. If you don't have any eyes, you can't see, that means there's no contact through the eye sense. Once you contact the world, once we experience the world through the senses, we feel things. Yeah, things feel good, they feel bad, they feel neutral. You like what you see, you don't like what you see, you are neutral about what you see. You like what you taste, you don't like what you taste, you are neutral about it. Everything we experience has this threefold classification. You like it, you don't like it, or it's neutral. And feeling is almost like the pivotal point in many ways in dependent origination. As I said yesterday, feeling is so important because it is what gives everything value in existence. Everything comes from feeling it. If you didn't feel anything, if nothing was good or bad, everything would be useless to you. Yeah? It wouldn't matter at all. It is precisely because we experience things as good and bad, that is why things have value for us. And everything we do in life, all the cravings we have, all the attachments we have, all the desires we have, all the visions about the future we have, everything we want, all the goals we have, the purposes, the aims in life, is related based on the idea of feeling. If something feels good, we want to aim for it. Something feels bad, we want to avoid it. Feeling is what gives life value, meaning, purpose. Without it, there wouldn't be anything at all. It would be completely pointless. So because of that, feeling is like the thing which drives everything else. It gives rise to craving, tanha, which is the next link. Yeah? It drives us onwards because we want to experience the right kind of feelings. Feeling is a given in existence. We have no choice, we have to feel. Yeah, this is just part of human existence. One of the 5 khandhas, one of the 5 aspects of personality. You have to feel that. Because you have to feel, craving comes as a consequence. Yeah, and then we crave, we desire, we try to make this, we try to, we want certain feelings, we don't want other ones. From that craving, from that tanha, comes upadana. Upadana means like grasping things or attaching to things in the world. Upadana, it literally means picking things up. Yeah, picking things up both literally and metaphorically. You pick things up. You pick up ideas. You pick up a religion. You pick up your glasses. You pick up a house. Yeah, we buy a house. It's like picking up a house. You pick up a relationship, upadana, by attaching to certain people. Yeah, what this can be looked at, it can be regarded as a strategy for satisfying your craving. Upadana is like a strategy for satisfying your craving. So, for example, if you crave, you want to be in a relationship because that relationship satisfies various kinds of craving. Craving for company, craving for sensuality, craving for all of these things that are important in our life. Yeah, craving for security or whatever. Having a house, attaching to a house, is not a strategy. Because when you have a nice home, you have a place where you can enjoy your entertainment, a place where you can feel safe, a place where you can sleep easily at night. Not having a home is really terrible. Having to kind of sleep on the street is very unpleasant, obviously. And that's why we feel really sorry for people who are homeless. It's a very unpleasant thing. Actually, I remember there was one of the lay people in Perth, and he, when we translate the suttas, we talk about going from home into homelessness. And it sounds like the monks might be sleeping under a bridge in the city somewhere. They're homeless people. So he said, maybe that's not such a good word. You have to call them homeless because it kind of gives the wrong impression. Maybe we should say houseless instead. So we're thinking maybe we should call it houselessness. But I think people get the idea. They don't think that monks sleep under a bridge somewhere. That would be a bit too much. Anyway, so you pick up all of these strategies. You pick up a religion. How come you are here? How come you think of yourself as a Buddhist? Because you think Buddhism is a strategy to improve your life, to make you more happy, more content, a better person. That's the whole point of it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be a Buddhist. If you thought Buddhism was going to make you miserable, and maybe that's what you think after all I've been talking about the last few days, maybe you now you're bailing out. You think, oh yeah, Christianity, maybe it's not such a bad idea after all. Maybe nothing at all. Maybe just being atheist is even better. I don't know that. But the reason we pick Buddhism is because we think it's going to make us happy. It's not a strategy of kind of moving your life in the right direction. You pick it up, you become a little bit attached to it. It is good to be attached to Buddhism. It's okay. It's good to attach a little bit to the 5 precepts. It's good to attach a little bit to meditation practice. Because if you don't attach a little bit, you're not going to do it. So don't be worried about it. It's a natural outcome of the process of dependent origination that we attach to things. Craving always leads to upadana. We have no choice. So because craving leads to upadana, because you're going to attach anyway, make sure you attach to good things. No choice in the matter. Just choose your attachments wisely. So we pick up all of these things in the world, and once you pick up a number of things, you have a job, you have a family, relationships, you have a house, you have maybe certain hobbies, suddenly your life has a certain shape. You exist in a certain way, and that is your existence. And the best way to figure out what your existence is, because some of these are a little bit conflicting, and sometimes you may enjoy sensual pleasures, other times you may enjoy meditation practice. They're not all heading in exactly the same way. To understand what your existence is, see where your mind likes to hang out. What does your mind do when you meditate? Where does it like to go? If your mind likes to kind of hang out and thinking about all kinds of the worldly pleasures, then you know that is your upadana, that is your existence. That is the world where your mind inclines towards. That's why you exist in that realm. So feel your mind, especially in meditation practice, what does it incline to? If your mind inclines to peace, and you find it quite easy to be peaceful, and you enjoy that, it means that is your existence, that is your hangout. So the purpose of the Buddhist path is to change our level of existence inside, reduce the existence in the sensual realm, and move it towards the realm of meditation, towards peace, towards bliss, towards insight, and all of these things. And as you practice the path, this level of existence, what you feel like, what your mind likes to hang out inside of you, changes as you progress on this path. I don't know if you have noticed that. Some of you may have noticed that. If that isn't happening, you need to ask yourself, what can I change so as to make this process happen? And so feel for yourself where you exist. Where does your mind like to hang out? And you know your existence. You know your bhava, which comes from the upadana, the attachments and strategies that we have. And you can see how this is very similar to what I was talking about before. I was talking about vijnana or consciousness having a certain level, depending on how you live your life. This is parallel to that. It's exactly the same idea. Your mind has a certain quality to it. It hangs out in certain places. It likes to play in certain areas. Where does it like to play? That is your quality of consciousness. And so if you lift this consciousness up, if you lift your existence up during this life, then wherever it is that you exist when you die, you create that into a strong platform, you continue in the next life. Janti is the next step in this thing. Rebirth, you get reborn according to that level of existence. Same thing we saw before. And then when you get reborn in that level of existence, then of course all the ordinary problems of life come as a consequence of that. As it says here, the old age, the suffering, the death, all of the things that you have to experience as part of the cycle of rebirth. So that's dependent origination. Simple. It's not that hard. It's pretty. The thing of this sort of thing, it took me ages to figure out what was going on. It's actually quite hard to find anyone who is able to explain this in a way that makes sense. It's actually quite difficult. So you can go into much more detail than what I have done now. You can pull this apart much more. But this is the basic idea. And it's not that hard to understand what is going on. But it's surprisingly difficult to find anyone who really can explain this in a way which is practical and understandable. And this is one of the things that I think is one of the nice things about being a teacher, is that you reflect on these things, and when you reflect on these things, you have to express them to others, it makes them come alive for yourself as well. This is kind of one of the wonderful things about this. But I had to spend a lot of time thinking about this to make sense of this kind of teaching, because it is not obvious when you read this. So there you are, dependent origination. If you have any questions about this, then this evening, please ask questions, and we can kind of look at these things in more detail if you like. And I haven't really followed all the suttas that are here. There's a large number of suttas in between, or not a large number, but a few suttas, but I've just left that out. It's not really necessary. If you wish, you can read them for yourself later on. A couple of things that might be nice to point out to you. One of the things that you may have heard, there are different interpretations of dependent origination. Some people say that dependent origination is just what happens in your mind, it's moment to moment. You kind of get born into a certain state of consciousness, and then you kind of that consciousness dies down. That's kind of death. In other words, it is not meant literally, it is meant metaphorically. That is what some people say. So for this reason, this is one of the reasons why I printed this out, because this shows you the Buddha's definition, or the early Buddhist definition of these things. So if you have this sutta called analysis again, which is just following on from what we were doing before, and you will notice in the sutta called analysis, you find the definition of old age and death. So what is the definition of old age and death? Well, it is as follows. Old age, decrepitude, broken teeth, grey hair, wrinkly skin, diminished vitality, vitality means like life force, the failing of the faculties of various sentient beings in various orders of beings. This is called old age. So, and what is death? Death is the passing away, the perishing, the disintegration, the demise, the mortality, death, disease, the breaking up of the aggregates, the laying to rest of the corpse of the various sentient beings and various orders of beings. This is called death. Such is old age and such is death. So it doesn't sound metaphorical, it sounds pretty literal. Yeah? It sounds like this is real death they're talking about, not just the death of a mind moment, because you can't really talk about the mind moment having grey hair and wrinkly skin. It doesn't make any sense. This is what happens to real beings. And then you have rebirth. Just remember, what is the meaning of rebirth? Rebirth is inception. Inception means like the beginning of something, yes? Inception, conception, reincarnation, manifestation of the aggregates, the acquisition of the sense fields of the various sentient beings and the various orders of sentient beings. This is called rebirth. Again, it is very clear that what is meant here is birth in an ordinary sense, coming into existence, yeah? Acquiring new life. This is what is meant here. It is not meant metaphorically. Yeah? So for this reason, this is the meaning of dependent origination according to the suttas. It refers to literal rebirth, death, and old age, and all of these things. So this is a very important point because it is important to understand these things in the right way. If you get it the wrong way, then you are not likely to really be able to gain the full insights of the Buddhist path. So these things actually, this may seem hard for, if you're new to this path, you may wonder, what's the big deal, maybe they're both right or whatever. Actually, these little things actually matter quite significant. They're quite significant, they matter quite a lot. So, yes, what else? I don't really think I want to go on to a new topic because otherwise it's just too much. Is there any questions about dependent origination so far now? Anything you'd like to ask him? Everyone is okay now? Everyone is clear as it can be? Yeah? Okay. Good. That's wonderful. So let me just stop there because if I carry on too much then we're just going to be going on and it will just be too much. So I think that's probably enough for now. I'm just looking to see if there's anything else that we could bring up at this particular point. But I don't think so. I think it's time to call it a morning. So please carry on. Have a nice lunch as always, and we'll see you back again at 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.